Hello again, everybody. On to the third and the final method. Again, you would only choose one of these methods, but I'm showing you all three of them. Notice I've erased all the information for this last one. This last one is called double decline. And you would have read about this method in your chapter 10, all three methods. So this is called double decline. And I've erased all the math because the math doesn't apply here. We do something special with this math. Now we're looking at this asset as a whole. So let me go through the math first. If you back to Excel, back to basic fundamentals of math. If you look at anything, it's considered 1 or 100, right? So if we look at a pie chart of this asset, the whole thing equals 100 or 1. So 100. And then we actually, the math of this says that we take the asset as a whole, or 100, and divide by the estimated useful life of the asset, which in this case is 5 years. So divide that by 5. Per your calculator would give you 20%, or decimal form, 0.20. It's called double decline, so that means multiply that number by 2. In your calculator should be 0.40. It's not always going to be 0.40, so don't just plug that number in. Again, if you had an asset and that asset was expected to be utilized over 4 years, this number would be 0.25 multiplied by 2, which would be 0.50. But in this case, for 5 years, which is the most common for our intents and purposes, it will be 0.40. So let's again go to chart this. Year 1, year 2, 3, 4, and 5. You might as well just plug this decimal in. 0.40, 0.40, 0.40, 0.40. You'll never have to go down to the last line, and I'll explain why later. Okay, so again, let's plug in our numbers. It should be, we need a space over here for our math, so we're going to put annual depreciation expense, accumulated depreciation, and our carrying value. Again, to remind you, the carrying value of this particular, or the cost, was $125,000 up there off to the side. Okay, now all this says is that you're going to multiply this 0.40, the decline rate, by the carrying value currently. So if we look at this, the current value is the $125,000 in year 1, because that's just what we purchased it for. So literally, you're going to do $125,000. So you multiply 0.40 times 125,000. The math on that should equate to 50,000. Sorry, but I've got my cheat sheet over here. I don't have all this in my head. Sorry. So it is 125,000. Remember, all this column is a subtraction column. We're going to ignore the accumulated depreciation in every one till the end. So 125,000 minus 50,000 should equate to 75,000. You're going to bring this number, just slide it right over here. Multiply that next one by the current value, which is 75,000. 75,000 times 0.40 equates to 30,000. Carrying value minus 30,000, 45,000. See what we're doing? We're literally bringing your carrying value over here every time I'm multiplying it by this 0.40 at this point. So 45,000 times 0.40 is 18,000. 45,000 minus 18,000 is 27,000. And we have to stop here. Why do we have to stop here? Because we can never take any of these methods down past, if you remember what it was called residual value. We cannot go lower than your residual value. So here, we know we can only do this 10,000. If we do this, multiply this by 0.40, we would depreciate past that rate. So literally what we have to do here, we have to get rid of this 0.40 and just do a subtraction. We're going to take that 27,000 minus, we know we have to end up at 25, right? this number has to be $25,000. We have to end up here no matter what, under any circumstance. We can't go above that or below that. So we have 27,000 minus 25,000, which means in year 4, we can't even depreciate it 5 years. It's not possible. That means our depreciation expense is $2,000 in year 4. Do you see what we did? We literally brought the carrying value over every year, multiplied it by 0.40, got the depreciation expense, subtracted that depreciation expense off that year's carrying value, but then we got down to here. We could only go to 25,000. Remember the 2 previous problems? So we literally have to do the subtraction wherever it cuts us off. So here we have 25,000. We can only depreciate this 4 years. Let's finish this and do the accumulated depreciation amount. So again, accumulated depreciation here for year 1, all we depreciated was 50,000. Year 2, it's 50,000 plus 30,000, which is 80,000. Now we've got 80,000 plus 18, which is 98. I don't know how I came up with 19, sorry. We have 98,000. And the last year we have 2,000. So see how we always come back to these 2 numbers? This is our depreciation amount, and this is our residual value. And that is double decline. Thank you, guys. Any questions? Text me, email me, call. Bye, guys.